So this Ma breath that Mihai was talking about, it's really the basis or foundation of Tantra. And Tantra, as I mean it, is really an exploration of the essential duality of manifest existence. Mihai is talking in that last meditation of the witness. And does everyone know how to access the witness or have a sense of what that is? Yeah, okay, good. So that's, I often talk about a mechanism of attention. And so when we're in a state of separateness or egoity, we're in a state of contracted attention. To access the witness is to learn how to relax or release that mechanism of attention. It's almost like the aperture of a camera. And then by releasing it, you fall into your true state or into awareness itself. Awareness is what's perceiving everything about this moment. It's prior to it. Yeah. So, and you could say that's non-duality. Everything is of that field, nothing separate from it. There is no separate from the witness and feeling. But if we're going to talk about relationship, you know, and just the apparent stuff of being manifesting, being incarnate, then we can talk about this basic duality of Ma and Da. And that duality can be seen in the breath. So one aspect of the breath is, you can say, the Ma breath, and the other is the Da breath. So we have the inhale and the exhale. Yeah? So, and what this depends on is to have a tacit sense of the feeling of awareness. And this is really important because awareness isn't separate from feeling. Awareness becomes the means by which we can feel. And we can use an essential principle of physics. They discovered around the beginning of the 20th century that the nature of the observer affects what it observes. So if the observer, you know, if you look at light, it acts like a particle. You look away, it acts like a wave. So the observer is not separate from what it's observing. And so in this way, if the observer is released into spacious awareness, everything that it's perceiving, most importantly feeling, is experienced to be of the quality of spacious awareness. And in truth, everything is inherently space. Yeah, you can feel your body from the outside, it seems solid, but when you feel it from the inside, it doesn't feel solid. It feels like currents of energy moving in the darkness. Yeah. And that's the subjective reality of everything. Like if I was this table in front of me, it feels hard to touch because the atoms are vibrating really quickly. If I was the table itself, I would still feel not essentially solid internally. Okay. And so this creates the possibility of feeling. Yeah. If we can remain in the spacious view with released attention, then we can feel that spaciousness in all of our feelings. And that means that we can even now have a possibility of feeling things that might be very uncomfortable. And so what we're coming out of is the tendency to contract attention in resistance to unpleasant feelings, thereby actually solidifying them, right? Because the nature of the observer affects what it observes. So if the observer is contracting in relationship to feeling, I'm actually solidifying the feeling, and then I'm trying to accept it. But I'm essentially working against myself. If I can learn to release attention and remain in what in Tibetan practice they call pure view, you're a big mind, then the feeling is revealed to be of that spaciousness. So this understanding is essential for what we're going to do next, because this reveals that the breath is also made of the same quality of spacious awareness, and that we can actually feel that tacitly or tangibly. So let's walk through this, and then we can talk a little bit at the end. So if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. And this first thing we're going to do is just allow ourselves to soften or relax open on the level of attention and body and emotion. And this is different than a relaxation exercise because we're actually relaxing those three qualities of being to make them align with or receptive to spacious awareness. And so as I let attention soften open to fall into the expansiveness of this moment, and I allow the body to relax wherever it can, emotions to relax open, I can have a sense, it's almost like a tingling sense of space becoming conscious in and as the body-mind. And then the same quality of awake or alive space now can be sensed in the breath. And this is what I call spirit breath. This is where breath is now known to be not just dead oxygen, but actually imbued with the quality of awareness or awake space. And this makes it a very different experience. So now when I'm breathing in, I'm actually breathing in spacious awareness, which is inherently soothing and comforting. This in-breath, we could call it the feminine aspect of the breath, or the ma breath, because as we breathe in spacious awareness, it has the qualities of what you could describe as the Divine Mother, or the archetype of the Divine Mother. It's comforting, it's soothing, it's nurturing. And I'm receiving that quality radiantly, or whole bodily. The whole body can, as I was describing, tingle with this quality of awake space. But now also I'm receiving it as the in-breath. So I'm kind of like a sponge soaking in water, breathing in water. And you can feel that the sound ma is the feeling of the reception of presence through the in-breath. The exploration is, how can I let that in more? How can I receive it all the way into me? Let it wash over me. Let it touch everything about me, whatever tight places or contracted places. It actually becomes the practice of feeling loved. This is in contrast to me trying to love or accept myself from a place of contracted attention. This is actually receiving presence into me as I stand. And then through that, feel loved as presence meets, touches, and soothes everything about me. And so in a very real sense, the practice of feeling loved, which is an essential quality of the Ma breath, is receiving presence into that aspect of the self that feels unloved. So you could say the practice of feeling loved is to allow presence into the unloved. Oftentimes in the Ma breath, there's a false ceiling where we don't let that presence in all the way, because there's typically a conditioned belief that if I let presence in, or you could say love, that I'll be hurt. Yeah, because we are wide open, innocent, say when we were children, and we let in the other and it hurt. And we didn't have the capacity or the awareness to allow those feelings within the presence that we are. Oftentimes that false ceiling in the in-breath stops right below the heart. And so not to force it, but just to explore very softly, very gently. Can I let that spirit breath in more through the in-breath? Then similarly, or in contrast, the out breath. And this is the breath associated with Da, with the masculine quality of being. It's the experience of the out breath is letting go, emptying out, falling out the bottom of the breath into the spacious awareness that underlies everything. There's a deep stillness at the bottom of the breath. They call in Zen the Iron Mountain. This unmoving stillness that underlies and penetrates everything. This is our Da aspect, or masculine aspect. Just like with the in-breath, there's oftentimes a false ceiling, there's oftentimes a false floor with the Da breath where we don't let go all the way. And that's because typically there was an experience we had in childhood where we let go and something quote unquote bad happened that we didn't know how to feel. And so there's an underlying conditioned belief that if I let go, something bad will happen. And so again, to be gentle with that exploration, it's exploring. Can I let go more into the presence that's holding me and that's pervading my body, mind? And so in this way, the breath then becomes this alive, intimate, emotional conversation with the living presence of awareness. And that's what the Sufis call the beloved or the friend, this growing bodily sense of the aliveness of awareness, that everything is. And this intimacy with the breath and with that presence becomes the foundation or the basis for relating with the seeming other. It's what allows us to be with and conduct the feelings that come up in relationship to the other. As I describe it in relational practice, it is actually your most intimate lover, your most intimate friend, this relationship with spirit breath. And so I'll stop talking for a bit and let's just practice this together. It's releasing into awareness, no matter what the content is of this moment, just the releasing of attention, the feeling of space as we become aware of it, and the reception of spacious presence through the in-breath, whole bodily, and the letting go into it through the out-breath. And another principle of Tantra in this exploration is least amount of tension, most amount of feeling awareness. So it's the least amount of tension with the reception of the in-breath. So I'm not pulling in the breath and doing it myself, but I'm allowing the breath and participating with the fact that I'm being breathed as well as I'm breathing. Just like when I sleep at night, I'm breathed throughout the night. My heart's being beat, but the breath is unique in its participatory quality. So how do I let in the in-breath with the least amount of tension, most amount of feeling awareness? And same with the out-breath. Okay, wonderful. So that's, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. It's a very brief intro, but hopefully it's enough of a taste, experiential taste. And then I've got a few minutes if anybody has any questions about that or